Good evening. School board meeting will come to order. Please stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Garza, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Chair Seaberg,
Here.
Vice Chair Stevens, Mrs. Williams,
Here.
Mr. Hollingsworth,
Here.
Mrs. Brooks,
Here.
Mr. Iqbal,
Here.
Mrs. Ball. Thank you.
Dr. Newman, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, Chair.
Thank you. Superintendent's announcements and spotlights. Mrs. Radford.
Thank you, Chair Seaberg. Good evening, other members of the board, and good evening to everyone that has joined us here tonight. I am excited to stand before you to welcome a new addition to our MCPS family. Join us in welcoming Mr. John Ellenberger as the new Director of Athletics and Activities at Osborne High School. He will be working with the Health and Physical Education Department, athletic coaches, student leadership, club and class sponsors, certified athletic trainer, and the Athletic Booster Club. Mr. Ellenberger is originally from Altoona, Pennsylvania. He has served in education as a high school special education teacher, coach, dean of students, and director of student activities. He enjoys being an integral part of the administrative team so he can have input on hiring outstanding teachers and coaches who impact students positively and contribute to them having a wonderful high school experience. Mr. Ellenberger is here with us tonight and will come forward at this time to share greetings with you all.
Hello. Thank you for having me. First of all, I just want to thank the school board, Dr. Newman, Mr. Pflugrath, for the opportunity to serve Manassas City Public Schools. I started, I'm almost at a week and a half, and like Dr. Newman says all the time, it truly is a family. Just warm welcomes, getting my feet wet, one at a time, but it's been almost a week and a half, but it's been truly a great experience. For me, it's, being in education as long as I've been in it, it's truly about the kids. I like to hang my hat on, just providing our kids just with an outstanding high school experience. And, my top priority is to get the kids involved, whether that's a club, whether that's athletics, or whether that's the performing arts. My goal is to get every kid connected to Osborne High School. And then, from there, it's just me and the coaches and the athletes, just the outreach and to build community. So I'm really looking forward to working with Metz, working with Baldwin, the intermediate, in our 5 elementaries, just to build that excitement among the kids that they cannot wait to put on the blue and gray. So again, I can't thank you enough for this opportunity, and that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ellenberger. We're very happy to have you here. It's exciting to hear from you, and it's great to meet you tonight. Thank you. Next on our agenda is board committee reports. I know we haven't had any board committee meetings since our last meeting, so we have no reports this evening. And citizens comment. Is there anybody? We don't have anyone signed up. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Anyone at all? Thank you. Yeah. Okay, may I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Chair, I make a motion that the school board of the city of Manassas approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Brooks, second by Mrs. Williams, that the school board of the city of Manassas approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Okay, first up on our discussion agenda this evening is new business. Mr. Andy Hawkins.
Good evening. The school board's lease for the central administrative office at its current location will expire on June 2023, about a year from now. As a result, we have been reviewing options as to the long-term future of where this office will be located. Tonight, we'll present two options. Can we have the PowerPoint? present? Okay, okay. It's not working. The clicker's not working.
I can see it on this side.
Oh, there it is. Got it. So option one, on December the 7th, 2020, the school board received a letter of intent from the previous mayor, Harold Parrish, to offer the school board to lease the current police station at 9518 Fairview Avenue for an initial term of 10 years, with 3 additional options each of 10 years, totaling 40 years. Option two is the purchase of a current central office building located at 8700 Centerville Road. I can't make it click. Okay. The 8700 Centerville Road is more than double the size of the Fairview property and currently has approximately 8,900 square feet of unrented space for immediate occupancy, with approximately 6,100 square feet of unused storage in the basement. The building currently has 8 leases with varying dates of expiration, the longest extending through March 2028. The school board hired an architectural and engineering firm to review the Fairview property to determine the site suitability now and into the foreseeable future. Based on this review, it was determined that the Fairview property in our current environment, in the market, would cost approximately $11.1 million or $489 per square foot to renovate to meet the central office needs. As this review was progressing, the school board received an inquiry regarding its interest in purchasing the 8700 Centerville Road property for $10,750,000 or $196.60 per square foot. As part of doing our due diligence, we conducted a facility needs assessment of this property to determine its needs for the next 10 years, with the cost for these improvements escalated to the true cost at the time of the needed replacement. Next slide, please. The contracted annual rental income for the leased space in this building totals approximately $957,000 annually, with projected annual operating expenses of $221,000, leaving approximately $735,000 annually to meet any immediate needs of the building following the 10-year facility assessment plan. These annual operating expenditures include utilities, custodial, landscaping, insurance, life, fire, and health and safety. Next slide, please. The 8700 Centerville Road property has approximately 8,900 square feet of unleased, newly renovated office space ready for immediate use. The property's total and per square foot cost is less than the Fairview property and has revenue-generating leases that will provide enough income to keep the building in excellent condition for the foreseeable future. In comparison, the Fairview property has a small amount of available space to meet the long-term needs of the school board. Next slide, please. So should MCPS purchase the 8700 Centerville Road building instead of renovating the police station, the projected cost for the renovation exceeds the cost of the building purchase. Rental income will offset the projected building needs. The 8700 Centerville Road property provides for future growth of MCPS and provides unique future opportunities for real-world instructional programs, and it also eliminates our need to move and all moving costs. So that's the presentation for tonight. Are there any questions, concerns, or comments?
Any questions from the board? No? Robin? No.
Okay.
I'm thinking.
I do have a question. In case there's any thoughts out there in the community, is it legal for the school board to lease out property?
Yes, ma'am. We've addressed that issue with our school board attorney, and we've been assured that we're in full compliance and that is allowed.
Thank you. And on slide 4, can you go to that for a minute, please? Yes, 4. For the current annual rental income, that includes what we pay for rent, correct?
Yes, ma'am, it
Okay.
does. It includes us as well. And so we're thinking that that's already budgeted in our FY23 budget, and we are thinking that we will continue to budget those funds until such time as we get all of the issues related to the building, all of the upgrades. You know, the things that we're talking about when we talk about upgrades to the building are basic things that are infrastructure items that may come to the end of their useful life, like roof repair or replacement, HVAC system, typical things that we always have to keep up with all of our current facilities division-wide.
Thank you. Any other questions?
All right, Mrs. Chair, I don't have any questions, but just a couple comments. We have a third option. The third option is to just continue leasing, right? But what I want to point out is, and don't look at me that way. What I want to point out is we pay a significant amount of money in leases, and we would definitely benefit by having a projected fund balance of $235,077 a year, as opposed to spending about $400,000 a year. So I want to point that out to those who may not know that. And in my view, owning is always better than renting. I think every CPA you talk to will tell you that. And also gives us so many more options in the future. And I think building assets is a positive thing. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Mrs. Brooks?
I had one question. In mentioning that we have that the building has current tenants, including ourselves, and then there's also available space for Manassas City Public Schools to grow, isn't there still also additional space that could be leased out that's not being leased right now that would increase that income?
We could, if that's the desire of the board. You know, we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there, whether the board wants to do that or not. It'll be based on, one of the next things that we will do is conduct a facility study to determine what's the best use for the current property now for our current staff and for the near-term future. So we'll look at our leases, we'll look at their expiration date, we'll look at where we are. Is it, for example, should all of the instructional team be on the 4th floor, or should they move down to a different floor to help them to integrate instruction, to be able to communicate better with each other? We are placed in places now that we've been at this location probably 8 or 9 years. Are we now where we ought to be? Is the building set up the way it should be? Are the departments located that would be in the best interest for the school division? And so we'll be going through a facility study plan and determining where the department should be, should we choose to buy this building, so that we can have like-kind minds, our duties be surrounded with each other.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. We look forward to discussing this further at a future meeting.
Thank you.
Next up, with personnel, new teacher performance standard and evaluation criteria. Ms. Billy K. Wingfield.
Good evening. The Virginia Department of Education, I was looking for my presentation, adopted the new teacher performance standard, culturally responsible teaching and equitable practices. This new standard becomes effective school year 22-23. This presentation will provide an overview about the new standard and training for Manassas City Public Schools staff. According to the Virginia Department of Education, the purpose in adopting the standard and evaluation criteria was to effect needed changes in Virginia school divisions to improve learning environments and outcomes for all Virginia students. The standard was added to the Virginia Board of Education's guidelines for uniform performance standards and evaluation criteria for teachers. The guidelines provide a uniform approach to evaluation, which should be used throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. This slide defines the criteria expected by a teacher for the culturally responsive teaching and equitable practices. The teacher demonstrates a commitment to equity and provides instructional classroom strategies that result in culturally inclusive and responsive learning environments and achievement for all students. According to the Virginia Department of Education, under the revised guidance, teachers are expected to demonstrate their commitment to equity and provide instruction and classroom strategies.
Ms. Wingfield?
Yes.
Would you mind moving a little closer to the microphone? We're having trouble hearing you with
Sorry.
all the storm going on out there.
Do you want me to go back? Or just pick up where I am?
Maybe a couple sentences.
Pick up on this slide? Or go back another slide?
This is fine.
Okay. According to the Virginia Department of Education, under the revised guidance, teachers are expected to demonstrate their commitment to equity and provide instruction and classroom strategies that results in culturally inclusive and responsive learning environments and student engagement practices and academic achievement for all students. Last spring, school administration was advised of the approval of the new standard for the upcoming school year. They were asked to share the information with their instructional staff at their work site. Training on the new standard by teachers and administrators will occur through a variety of means. Administrators will receive the Virginia Department of Education Teacher Performance Evaluation System for training. The VDOE has created online self-paced trainings that will be utilized by division teachers and administration. Throughout the school year, professional learning sessions and ongoing support will be provided to administrators. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the board? There are no questions. Thank you for your presentation. On tonight's action agenda, we have first some old business, our proposed strategic plan. At our last meeting, June 14th, Dr. Jennifer Casada, Director of Strategic Improvement and Planning, and Dr. Laura Goldzung, Director of Assessment Accountability, presented the 2022 to 2025 five-year strategic plan for our consideration. The presentation included discussion about the process for developing the comprehensive strategic plan as well as the key components. The school board is now being asked to approve the proposed strategic plan. I know that Dr. Casada and Dr. Goldzung are in the audience tonight if we have any questions for them. And if not, we have a motion.
Chair, I move that the school board of the City of Manassas Schools approve the, accept the action, accept the, what was it? We don't have a
Strategic
plan.
five-year
Strategic
strategic plan.
five-year plan.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Brooks, second by Mr. Hollingsworth, that the school board of the City of Manassas approve the 2022-2027 strategic plan as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Our strategic plan is approved. Thank you. Next up with Finance and Operations, Mr. Andy Hawkins again. We need to approve our student fees and charges, food service fees and charges, building use fees, and fee waiver guidelines as presented. Do not have a-
Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the School Board of the City of Manassas approve the 2022-23 student fees and charges, food services fees and charges, building use fees, and fees waiver guidelines as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Hollingsworth, second by Mrs. Brooks, that the School Board of the City of Manassas approve the 2022-2023 student fees and charges, building use fees, food service fees and charges, and fee waiver guidelines as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 5-0. Next up is our 2023-2027 revised CIP and 5-year forecast. And I need a motion on this.
You got it?
Chair, I'd like to make a motion that School Board of the City of Manassas approve the 2023 through 2027 Capital Improvement Plan, CIP, that the school, the second part? All right. As I were, I'd like to make a motion that the School Board of the City of Manassas approve the FY 2023 through 2027 5-year forecast and CIP as presented, and authorize the school board chairman to transmit the 2023 and 27 CIP and 5-year forecast for the City Council of Manassas in accordance with the school board policy and Virginia State Code.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Hollingsworth, second by Mrs. Williams, that the School Board of the City of Manassas approve the FY 2023 to 2027 5-year forecast and CIP as presented, and authorize the school board chair to transmit the 2023-2027 CIP and 5-year forecast to the City Council of Manassas in accordance with the school board policy and Virginia State Code. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 5-0. Okay.
Aye.
And lastly, on our action agenda, we have our school year budget 2022 to 2023.
Ms. Chair, I move that the School Board of the City of Manassas approve the FY 2022-2023 budget as presented in the amount of $139,016,271, and authorize the school board chair to transmit these estimates to the City Council of Manassas in accordance with the school board policy and Virginia State Code.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Williams, second by Mr. Hollingsworth, that the school board of the City of Manassas approve the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 budget as presented in the amount of $139,016,271, and authorize the school board chair to transmit these estimates to the City Council of Manassas in accordance with the school board policy and Virginia State Code. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Next up is school board members' comments. Mr. Hollingsworth, do you have any comments this evening?
I'll just keep it short and sweet. I just want to welcome Mr.
Ellenberger.
Ellenberger. I'm learning how to say it. But I just want to welcome you to the Manassas City Public School family, and I look forward to great things.
Thank you, Mr. Hollingsworth. Mrs. Williams, do you have any comments this evening?
Yes, I do. Again, welcome. Glad to have you. Excited to see all the great things that you're going to do. We've got a great group of athletes and all kinds of activities. I don't know if they're still doing ping pong or not, but that's fun too. I just wanted to express real quick, I felt like we slammed through all those important finance budget agenda items, action items, but the reality of it is we've been working hard on this, staff has been working hard on this for, I don't know, 6 months. And it took the General Assembly a very long time to finally pass a budget. So now we are having to just readdress those new figures. And so we have done that, and that's what this is about, and that's why it was so quick. As far as, I just want to talk real quick about the the new standards. There are now 8 standards that we use to evaluate our teachers, and what I hope is that we can incorporate some of these evaluations within different standards, so we're not overwhelming teachers, so we can make sure we really do focus on making sure our kids not just are teaching to models, but we have and will continue to have high expectations of them. One of the 5 things, I don't know if you heard me say this last week, there's 5 items that really makes a school stand out from others, and culturally is the 5th one, and it's very important that we are culturally responsible, understanding. However, we can be caring, loving, and also incorporate those high expectations. And with our new strategic plan, I can't wait to hear all the details, but I feel like we are on that track. So thank you all for all your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Mrs. Brooks, comments this evening?
I would like to also echo welcome to John Ellenberger. You know, looking forward to having you on our team, and welcome to the family. And I hope that everyone is enjoying their summer and looking forward to a new school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Brooks. Mr. Iqbal.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to further echo my fellow board members in welcoming Mr. John Ellenberger. We really are excited to work with you, and we're really happy to have you here at Manassas City Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Iqbal. And tonight for me, I just wanted to say that we have Mr. Ellenberger now, but we still have some open positions, and we're competing against all the other school divisions in the entire country for the best and the brightest teachers and staff. So coming up, we are hosting an online career switcher fair that will be on Monday, July 18th, and you need to register by July 17th. More information is available on our social media and website. Next week, some of us will be attending the VSBA conference on education in Richmond. We also have a school board meeting next Tuesday, joint meeting with City Council on Thursday. We'll welcome our new teachers on July 26th. And we are also hosting a community resources fair before our next, before our August meeting, but that'll be on Saturday, August 6th at Osborne at 8 a.m. until noon. And there'll be informative presentations, medical and vision screenings, school supplies are available. There will be some food distribution and several community booths along with raffles, and all our Manassas City Public Schools families are welcome. And that's about it that I have for tonight. So thank you all for coming in through the rain and the storm, and we will see you at the next meeting.